Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. Today we're going to take a look at yet another new album coming out almost every year from space rock legend, space rock pioneers Hawkwind. All aboard the Skylark. Seems like, every year you got to expect another new Hawkwind album. Now 30 studio albums. Think about that. 30 studio albums in roughly about a 50-year career. All right? And that's not counting all the live albums. There's a ton of those. And compilations and all sorts of stuff. So easily these guys have 50 or more album releases, like I said, studio, live, compilation, EPs, all that kind of stuff. This is the brand new one. Okay? This is actually the Cherry Red Records double disc digipack set. Okay, we've got the CD1 is All Aboard the Skylark, the new studio album. CD2 is Acoustic Days, D-A-Z-E, not Days, D-A-Y-S. So before we get into talking about the music, let me show you the booklet, and I'll tell you who is in the band. Okay, here we got lyrics, all sorts of other fun stuff. All right, in the band today, in Hawkwind, appearing on the new album, we've got, of course, Dave Brock, excuse me, on vocals, guitars, keyboards, and synths. Magnus Martin on vocals, guitars, and keyboards. Niall Hone on bass. Richard Chadwick on drums, percussion, and vocals. Michael Sosna on sax on a couple tracks. And that makes up the band. Okay, over on the Acoustic Days CD, all right, which is some stuff that they did on tour. It's Dave Brock, Magnus Martin, Haz Wheaton on bass, Richard Chadwick on drums, Jonathan Derbyshire on vocals on a few tracks, and Michael Sosna on sax. So what you get here, if you've been following Hawkwind for the last decade or so, they've been putting out albums, like I said, they're hooking up with Cherry Red and Esoteric in recent years. So we had Road to Utopia last year, or 2019, I should say. This was a late 2019 release. Into the Woods in 2017. The Machine Stops in 2016. Stellar Variations, Onward, Blood of the Earth, on and on and on. So they've been pretty prolific over the last decade or so. And again, the formula doesn't change much, but it's still fucking Hawkwind, right? So you've got the mix of heavy riffing hard rock. Okay, Dave Brock's got always been a great riff meister. You've got all the walls of synths and keyboards and ambient, electronics and things like that. The kind of trancey techno beats from time to time. All right. It's space rock, it's psychedelic, it's heavy rock. There's also always a punk vibe going through Hawkwind's music that's ever present. There's some really good tracks on this. The first, I love the first song. It kind of busts out of the gate with hold on, I don't know all the song titles yet. What do we got? Flesh Fondue. Okay, you've got Nets of Space, Last Man on Earth, We Are Not Dead, Only Sleeping. Love that title. All Aboard the Skylark, the title track, 85 million years ago. In the Beginning, The Road to, and The Fantasy of Faldom. Not a very long album, okay, but just as long as it needs to be, right? And it's engaging, it's fun, it's upbeat. You got your atmospheric, spacey passages. You got your kind of speedy, more punkier stuff. You got the heavy rock riff and stuff. At times Hawkwind always had this little kind of doomy, almost Sabbathy vibe in some of their songs. But because it was mixed with those kind of the space rock and electronic type stuff and the punky rhythms and things like that, it made for a really unique sound. And they still got it, all right? I know this is obviously a way different lineup, and it's only Dave Brock as a holdover from the old days. It still sounds like Hawkwind, okay? And over on this two Acoustic Days, it's basically, you got acoustic guitars, but all the rest is electronic stuff, right? So it's kind of like Hawkwind with acoustic instead of electric guitars. And you've got, The Watcher, Hymn to the Sun, Generation Door, Microman, Down Through the Night, Flying Doctor, Get Yourself Together, Ascent of Man, We Took the Wrong Step Years Ago, PSI Power, a whole selection of songs played live on tour, done more acoustically. Kind of neat. Worth a cursory listener to. I prefer to have the full-on electric Hawkwind, but it's a fun bonus disc on here. But I really dig the main album. I like it a lot. I'm a Hawkwind fan. I kind of like just about everything they've done. And while if you go back throughout all their 30 studio albums and go throughout their discography, they've had like periods in time where the music has evolved and changed a little bit depending on what decade and what era. But over the last couple of albums, it just sounds like classic style Hawkwind. It's not more so the 70s versus the 80s. 80s I had a little more streamlined sound, very modern recording techniques and styles and things like that. The latest Hawkwind stuff is just kind of taken all of their flavors from throughout their career, kind of putting it together into one. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And now it's good to be a Hawkwind fan nowadays because you got Alan Davies, various Hawkwind offshoots. You've got Nick Turner's band, and all these other groups who players who've been in Hawkwind who have formed like spin-off groups that kind of sound like Hawkwind. So if you're a fan of space rock and Hawkwind in general, man, there's no shortage of new material out there almost yearly. So it's a pretty cool time to be a space rock fan. So yeah. All aboard the Skylark, the latest from Hawkwind. Check it out. I think you will like it. If you've liked their last couple, I highly recommend giving it a shot. There's the guys live in concert there. All right. Pretty cool set available from Cherry Red. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you guys quite a lot this week. We've got lots of new product shows coming up. Top 10 songs, all sorts of fun things. So don't touch that dial. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.